Back in E3 of 2006, Square Enix was getting ready to announce their newest games. Alongside remasters and pixel games was the mainline title at the time, Final Fantasy XIII, and the sub-series within the 13 universe, the Fabula Nova Crystalis. The Fabula Nova Crystalis was a sub-series that aimed to connect multiple spin-off games and of course the mainline titled game into one universe. Those games obviously being Final Fantasy XIII, Final Fantasy Agito 13, and Final Fantasy Versus 13. And if you've been a fan of Final Fantasy for a long time, you know that the FNC kind of failed. The 13 trilogy failed. It met low expectations, even though in my opinion I really liked the 13 trilogy. Agito 13 never really came out in the US and in North America. It had to be remastered into a game called Type 0, which is amazing in my opinion. And Versus 13 went through 10 years of development hell, constantly changing the script, engine problems, and finally the game switched directors from Tetsuya Nomura to Hajime Tabata, having the game we now know as Final Fantasy XV, which in my opinion is a disastrous masterpiece. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why I still think about Versus 13 and talk about the FNC in general, and kind of give you guys a rundown of what Final Fantasy Versus 13 is and what it was, and the development hell that it went through. I have always wanted to make this video, so I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is kind of a passion kind of project for me. Ever since I was young, I got into Final Fantasy, and 15 was my first one. And then when I found out about Versus 13, I was so intrigued. So I really hope I get to, talk about this and maybe give you guys some good info on Versus 13 and the FNC. The man taking the project of Versus 13 was none other than Kingdom Hearts director Tetsuya Nomura. Tetsuya Nomura's vision for Final Fantasy Versus 13 was to create a game that blended high-octane action with a deeply emotional, character-driven narrative. He wanted to build a story that revolved around a more mature and realistic world compared to the most traditional settings in the Final Fantasy series. The game aimed to push the boundaries of gameplay and visual storytelling, offering players an open-world experience with seamless combat and a focus on relationships between its core characters, especially the protagonist Noctis. Nomura's ambition was to redefine what players expected from an RPG, merging cinematic presentations with innovative game mechanics. Tetsuya Nomura poured his heart and soul into this game. You can obviously tell by reading magazines and interviews. Just so you guys get a better understanding of what I'm trying to say, I'm going to be playing a video from Square Enix's E3 press conference from 2006, where the FNC got announced.
ゲームの内容としましては、アクション要素の高いものを考えています。世界観は、現代的です。物語としては、絆をテーマにした痛みを感じるリアルなキャラクターと物語を描いていくつもりです。これまで自分たちが、追ってきた作品性の一つの完成形になると思っています。
Through 2006 and 2010, we only got 3 cinematic trailers, showcasing extended scenes of Noctis fighting in the Citadel, and we also see new characters introduced, such as Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto. These 3 act as the royal friends and partners that accompany Noctis throughout his journey. We also get to see cool scenes such as Noctis about to fight this blonde-haired character with a white cloak. Cool guys in all black suits talking in some sort of throne room. And of course, one of the most prominent characters in Versus 13, Stella. And this is where I'm going to talk about the meeting of Stella and Noctis. In this trailer, we see Noctis and Stella talk about Etro, the goddess of death, which is what Versus 13 is centered around. We see them talk about the light they see. Here we get to learn a bit more of the story's tone. We learn that Noctis is able to see the light due to facing a near-death experience as a child. Death, souls, the light, dreams, sleeping, that very alone sets the tone and mood of this game. It's very apparent too with one of the 2 songs, Somnus and OMNIS LACRIMA, with the lyrics talking about gods and death and forever sleeping in such a slumber. While doing my research, I found these cool types of magazines, maybe advertisements, of the game showcasing stills from the trailers and explaining character names. Not much was shown for gameplay until 2010, where we got a small teaser of gameplay footage. My mind was blown watching that. This teaser hyped up the game even more, showing us a new look for Noctis and open world free roam with an outpost and of course the combat. Mind you, this was the first time we've seen any gameplay footage besides Stella and Noctis. It wouldn't be until June 11th, 2011 where we got this trailer.
あれ、迫力ですね。
まるで占領されたみたいだな。
This trailer was a definition of hype. So many things happening in this trailer. We see Stella and Noctis again, the Insomnia invasion, Noctis and the guys fighting in the wild, a new character, epic CGI. We also see Regis talk about, "So, you were being used, huh?" That raises a lot of questions to the story. But this was also the first time we saw both gameplay and cutscenes for more than 2 minutes. But what's most important is that we finally have a clear picture of what the story is going to be about. In the world of Versus 13, the world is divided into major factions, the Kingdom of Lucis and the Niflheim Empire. Lucis is a small, technologically advanced kingdom that possesses a powerful crystal, source of its protection and the lifeblood of its people. Niflheim presents the darker, more oppressive force in the story. As shown in the trailers, it seems that Niflheim is after Lucis for the crystal, hensing the Insomnia invasion, and it's up to Noctis, Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto to stop Niflheim from doing so. But we also get to explore a romantic type of relationship with Noctis and Stella, as we see in their meeting. But there also seems to be some tension as we see Noctis and Stella about to face off in a fight. And that was the last time we ever saw Versus 13 under the name Versus 13.
Latin for New Tale of the Crystals, the 13th installment in the world-renowned series aims to paint a montage of compelling stories, all bound by a single underlying mythos. Development is currently underway for multiple games spanning numerous consoles such as the PlayStation 3 and mobile phones. The evolution of Final Fantasy has continued alongside the evolution of gaming itself. And as long as there are those who seek the light of the crystals, the epic will continue on into the future.
Alongside the development of Versus 13, the day would soon approach that Final Fantasy XIII would also release. But it got delayed. You see, Square Enix didn't have the assets to really start full production of the game just yet, resulting them into making the Crystal Tools engine, an in-game house engine made by Square Enix just for them to use for Final Fantasy XIII. Although we got trailers and demos, the developers were struggling to get this game done. The engine just wasn't enough for the game. Square Enix had to pull people from the Versus 13 team onto the 13 team. Hearing this made Nomura concerned and wanting to switch engines, this causing the delay of the Versus 13. There was even a rumor back in 2012 that Versus 13 was cancelled altogether, and while that was probably true, it wasn't until 2013 where Square held their Nova Crystalis report where someone asked them about Versus 13, and Nomura had to say, "It's a delicate situation within the company. The date for our next reveal is set and we are working towards preparing information for that. Perhaps the details as to why information couldn't be released might be touched upon with the next information announcement." There are many interviews with Nomura talking about the game, but unfortunately I couldn't find them. Rumor upon rumor surfaced around the internet, and it really seemed like Versus 13 was never going to come out. As stupid as it sounds, Nomura wanted to turn Versus 13 into a musical. Yeah, a musical. And finally, in June 11th, 2013, we got this.
とにかく城へ行こう。奴らの目的は何なんだ。やはりクリスタルだと思う。ニフルハイブはこれまでにもソルハイブ、テネブラへアコルドのクリスタルを手に入れようと戦争を起こしてる。逃げてるらしいぞ。ああ、合流を急ごう。気ぃつけろよ。
もともと避ける気なんてなかったけどな。
ノクト、どこまで行け。
ノクト、暴れると敵を引きつけてしまうぞ。
大丈夫だ、強いからな。
クリスタルを取り戻す。
ルシスの制圧を完了させ、それと王子をレギスの息子を見つけたら始末しろ。
知りたいのか。
まあ
重いぞ。これが対をなす幻想。
いや、世界は常に変化する。15番目だ。
Final Fantasy Versus 13 was no longer Versus 13, but now Final Fantasy 15, and was no longer being developed for the PS3, but now for the PS4 and Xbox One. Now, why for this change? Let's talk about it. The game was taking far too long, so they asked Final Fantasy Type 0's director, Hajime Tabata, to step in the project and actually co-direct Versus 13. Tetsuya Nomura and Hajime Tabata were to co-direct Versus 13, or 15. Why for the name change? Nomura stated, "It was suggested to us to shift to Final Fantasy 15 as part of the company's direction. By that time, a fair amount of time had already passed since the announcement, and Versus was a well-known title, so it was given that this would be 15. It could have still been Versus 13. Personally, I came to accept the idea once Final Fantasy Agito 13's name was changed to Final Fantasy Type 0. So it seems that Nomura was actually against the idea that Versus 13 would become 15. Although not confirmed, I would assume that Nomura felt conflicted too, having Tabata co-direct alongside with him. It's kind of like Square Enix telling Nomura, "Alright, listen, little bro, like, we need this game out, you know, like, we can't have this game in development for 10 billion years, so we gonna get big bro to help you out, and yeah, that's all." Now, as to why he got kicked off his own original game, we have to look at this. For those who don't know, Nomura is also the director of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. For many years, people have been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, and in case you couldn't put it together, Square Enix kicked off Nomura from Versus 13 to put him on to Kingdom Hearts 3, making Tabata the sole director of Final Fantasy 15. Tabata changed a lot from this game. The story got changed, a lot of the characters got cut, changed designs. If you look at Regis, he looks like my grandpa. And Stella, a very, very important character, got cut, exchanged for a character, Luna. Even the driver got cut. Such a small character, and I can't lie, I wish he was still in the game. He looked pretty cool. I'll talk more about cut characters and cut concepts and arts, but once Tabata had full control of 15, he changed a lot of things. The story drifted away from the Fabula Nova Crystalis lore. The whole Insomnia invasion got cut out of the game and was made into a full-length CGI film called Kingsglaive. Now, in my opinion, I really liked the movie. I enjoyed the characters, and Nyx is one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters now. But what was a real shot to the head was that Tabata actually shared to the public that Versus 13 was only 20 to 25% done. So I'm gonna say it, without Tabata, we would have never had this concept of these characters out. God bless Hajime Tabata. Obviously, what we got wasn't Versus 13, but as I said in the beginning, I love Final Fantasy 15. I love all the characters, I love all the stories, I love all the DLCs, and you know, if we could still have Versus 13, I would still love to have it, but for what we got, I love 15. So now that I've given you a rundown of the whole development history and everything that I could tell you guys, I know there's a lot more, but I was just either too lazy or I was like on my phone procrastinating making this video. Why am I still thinking about Versus 13? Well, I'm gonna get to that point. Nomura is a petty little bitch. No, that's not true. That's not true. Well, maybe. But the reason why people still think about this game and I still think about this game is because Nomura decided to do this. If you're not familiar with Kingdom Hearts, in KH3's Toy Box world, once you enter the world, the cinematic commercial of a game called Verum Rex within the Toy Story world plays. Looks familiar? Yeah, I'm sure heck it does. This guy running looks like Noctis and Riku mixed in one. This gal looks like a mix of Stella and Luna. And the companions look like a mix of Ignis, Prompto, Arden, and Gladio mixed in one. You want even more proof? Okay, I'm not sure if I can really show this because I don't want to get sued by like Square Enix because I'm low-key broke, but I have the pictures. The beta version of this trailer uses a blonde Noctis, Stella, Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto, I'm pretty sure, as their placeholders for the characters. I have the pictures, I just don't know if I can show it to you guys. And to put the cherry on top, Yozora, which is the main character of Verum Rex, in Japanese, Yozora translates to night sky, where in Latin, if you were to translate Noctis's full name, Noctis Lucis Caelum, means light of the night sky. And in the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC ending, we see a one-to-one, shot-for-shot remake of the Versus 13 2011 car scene.
Impressive, is it not?
I've been having these weird thoughts lately.
With Kingdom Hearts 4 on its way, not until 2099, we can see that Nomura is obviously trying to bring back Versus 13 into Kingdom Hearts. We may finally get to see what Nomura wanted to show. In fact, he wanted to make a Verum Rex game before Kingdom Hearts 4, but he opted to making Kingdom Hearts 4 first. But that doesn't mean we won't see the game ever. I'm 100% sure we will see Verum Rex before Kingdom Hearts 4 officially ends. Although Nomura denies the speculations that Versus 13 and Verum Rex are totally different, let's stop the cap. It's crazy how much that a game that never came out has made its own legacy that has lived on for more than 20 years. Now, as to know what the story of Versus is, we'll never know. I read a leak that Versus was going to be a very, very dark game. Noctis being an antichrist, him being addicted to a drug called Luna, Regis being a YAKUZA type of king and actually sacrificing Noctis. All these leaks lead to a story that we will never know. But if you're interested, I'll put the link in the description below and all of my sources. Making this video was very fun and hard. I know I stumble a lot of my words and have long pauses, but for my first video essay, not bad. Man, ever since making this video, searching up everything about Versus 13 and Final Fantasy, I've
been having these weird thoughts lately.
Like, is any of this for real or not? None of this makes sense to me.